That's right, and when we asked about that possibility, we didn't get a specific answer, but we do know that as tensions rise in Israel and Gaza, that they are going to be sending those troops out. The Pentagon spokesperson said today that they will be deploying troops to the Middle East. Now, they didn't release numbers or locations as a matter of safety, but did say that it is to enhance protection for American forces in the region. What we do know is that these are Patriot battalions and batteries, and that might ring a bell for some of you because it was big news whenever Ukrainian soldiers came to Fort Sill to train on it. Now, Patriot is one of the most advanced air systems in the world, and as those tensions continue to rise overseas, all eyes are on the Middle East. Haley, as that recording tells us, a body was found under blankets just around 3 o'clock today, and now OSBI and Sheriff Stradley have joined the investigation, though we're not quite sure where they are at this moment. On top of all the noise and the commotion from the cleanup happening just behind me, people that I spoke to from this neighborhood say they've been told it'll still be a few days before things can get back to normal. Now, we went inside and we checked those numbers. Only 69 people have cast their ballots so far, but we talked to people who said that they weren't quite sure where they should cast their vote because they weren't sure which ward they fell into. So I'm here to remind you guys that those district lines did get redrawn in January of last year. So you might want to check online, check what ward you fall into before you make your way all the way up to the polls. And so if you haven't been able to make it, make your way out there now. Now I'm going to enjoy this mechanical bull that I'm on. For 7 News, I'm Destany Fuller. While generally accepted terms exist and it's important to identify Indigenous people properly, the tribal leaders that we spoke to touched on what they say is most important, which is how they identify themselves. Social media can be a great tool. It's how we connect with some of our old friends and make new ones. But for some kids, their biggest nightmare is that notification and the anxiety of what could be waiting for them when they open it. And the easiest part of this machine is its operation. You just touch the screen, select which product you would like, and enter your zip code. And just like that, you get the medication you need in seconds. The daughter of the serial killer suspectedly connected to an Oklahoma cold case is speaking out, and she says she wants to help local investigators. Dennis Rader, the self-named BTK killer, confessed to 10 murders over a decade ago and is currently serving a life sentence in Kansas. Authorities believe he may also be connected to unsolved homicides in Oklahoma and 2 other states. They've already searched Radar's former home and property in search of leads in the case. Rader's daughter has been working with law enforcement since June as they investigate her father. We turn you to a community in mourning this weekend after yet another shooting in the country. 3 people were killed at a Dollar General in Jacksonville, Florida. Investigators say that shooting was racially motivated and that the guns used were purchased legally. And in Dallas, authorities were forced to issue an emergency evacuation of the State Fair of Texas following a shooting. Police say 3 people were hurt after someone opened fire into the fair's food court Saturday night. They say a male suspect identified as 22-year-old Cameron Turner ran from the scene. He was later brought into custody and a gun was reportedly recovered. The victim suffered non-life-threatening injuries, and the fair's spokesperson says it delayed its opening until 2 o'clock today. Tens of thousands of people are stranded in a remote stretch of desert at the Burning Man Festival in Nevada after harsh rains. The flooding making it close to impossible for attendees to leave. ABC's Alexis Christopoulos has more on survival efforts along with 1 confirmed death. An Indiana amusement park has a new Thanksgiving-themed roller coaster. It's family fun without all the holiday whining. So close your eyes and scream on the gravy train. Jeremy Roth tells us more in today's Take a Look at This. I'm standing in the KCA Cemetery in Cache, where over the weekend, elders and citizens of the Comanche, Kiowa, and Apache tribes worked on their hands and knees to repair the devastation left behind by feral hogs. And while things may look bad now, they say they're willing to do whatever it takes to get things back and better than they were before.
It was heartbreaking to know that they trampled on our ancestors like they did.
Linda Pebishi says generations of her family are buried on the grounds, along with plenty of others.
We had elders like me out here Saturday that couldn't stand up. They sat down in chairs and raked to help do what they could.
KCA Executive Director Yolanda Ramos was part of that effort. She says in an official meeting this morning, tribal leaders discussed their plans to repair that damage.
We are going to look at getting a new fence put in, so I'm going to work on getting an estimate on that. We're looking at some possible options for hunting and some options for possible trapping as well.
You can see that the hogs tunneled their way under this fence. As a temporary solution, volunteers placed these stakes into the ground attached to the fence as a way to prevent any further damage. Ramos says she's working to get this situation fixed as soon as possible.
I have family members from all three tribes that are, within our cemeteries. And so it's very important to me to not only make sure that these cemeteries are kept up, but my future goal is to get them plotted out.
But I thought I had more time. I know that he's okay and that we will be okay, but I think it would make it easier if we knew why.
A family forever left with a missing piece after 19-year-old Noah Pressgrove's death back in September. Nearly 3 months later, they say they're no closer to finding the truth.
Like, we're still in the same position, still kind of stagnant in a sense, and we're still wanting answers. Other than that, that's kind of where we're at.
Pressgrove was found dead on the side of Highway 81 on September 4th, and the Oklahoma State Bureau of Investigation declared his death suspicious the next day. The organization is assisting Oklahoma Highway Patrol in that investigation, who says they're not releasing any details to maintain the, quote, integrity of the investigation. The teen's family says they just want answers.
Even if it was an accident, it doesn't matter. Come clean. It hurts not to know. It'll hurt knowing, but it hurts more not to know. And wondering and just thinking every night what happened.
For 7 News, I'm Destany Fuller. You may use your smartwatch to send texts, make a call, or shoot out a quick email, but have you ever considered it could save your life? Well, for one woman in Wichita Falls, one notification was the difference between life and disaster.
One Friday morning, I got a notification on my watch that I was an AFib.
She had an abnormal heart rate back on that day in 2021, but says with the recent stress of losing her spouse, she didn't think much of it.
I talked to my boss that morning. We were all working remotely, and said, I got a meeting this morning, and I think I'll see the doctor after that. Maybe I will, maybe I won't, maybe I'll wait the weekend. And she said, you need to go now.
A decision that would save her life. After driving herself to the hospital, Lubke learned she was diabetic and had critically high sugar levels, a deadly combination.
If I had waited the weekend, I probably would not have survived. And that's what I would have done if I'd not gotten the notification on my watch. Because I just figured, with everything that was going on, I just wasn't feeling good. And I'll get to the doctor when I get to the doctor.
And I don't know what I would do without her. If it hadn't have been for the watch, and if it hadn't have been for the people in her life, her boss and her other coworkers telling her, no, you need to go in, and her listening, she wouldn't be here.
After realizing just how serious her situation was, Lubke took a chance, sending a thank you email to Apple CEO Tim Cook.
Last Thursday evening, I got a notification from iHealth that I was an AFib, and that had never happened before.
Cook responded the same day, saying he was happy to hear from her, and even happier the technology helped save her. Now, Lubke says her watch will forever be part of her routine.
I will never go without a smartwatch again. It truly saved my life.
I did not actively try to fight them off of me, but I did actively not let them put my hands behind my back. And I ended up being slammed over there, and then you've seen the rest.
Robert Campbell walked 7 News through his experience with Duncan police officers after he was detained while going through a PTSD episode. The combat veteran shared he was in his car feeling hopeless when he picked up the phone.
You get told you have these problems, there's no treatment for you. It gets pretty bad. I was like, okay, I want some help. I started looking up places to go, and every phone call I made, well, we can't help, we got to call something else.
Forcing him to his last resort, calling 911. Bobby Marshall is the chaplain and commander of Dobbs Adam Post 55 of the American Legion. He started reaching out almost immediately after hearing about Campbell's experience, saying there should be someone at these situations who isn't armed and knows how to deal with veterans.
We just need to finish working on the resources and connections available in order when they get a call of a veteran in crisis, yes, get out there and contain the situation, but there should be personnel, counselors, American Legion members, someone that can be called to come in and help them de-escalate the situations.
He praised the police department for not drawing weapons on Campbell, something he says is a sign of growth. Campbell, on the other hand, says he faults everyone involved and wants to see change.
I have a part to play in it. PD has a part to play in it. Everybody has a part to play in it. It was just straight mishandled from the get-go. We need to get a better grip on it, because if stuff like this keeps happening, we're going to keep having veterans in crises.
Those dealing with suicidal thoughts should contact the Suicide and Crisis Lifeline at 988. For 7 News, I'm Destany Fuller. For most people, when you want some fresh air in your home, you just crack a window. But for some residents of the Bristol apartments, you just have to stick your hand right through. It's been 4 months since that damaging storm hit Lawton back in June, and residents are still dealing with the fallout. Lance Stanley is one of those residents. He says having broken windows in his unit is only bringing more problems.
We have to constantly run the AC and stuff because that's the only way to maintain the house to stay comfortable. It's gone up by at least $100 to $200.
Stanley says he and other residents were given these plastic sheets to put over their windows as a temporary solution to keep air from entering their apartment, but this can only last for so long.
It's more of just like a Band-Aid because, like I said, it's just a thin sheet of plastic, so it does keep some stuff out, but it doesn't help when it's hundreds of degrees outside.
We got in touch with the Bristol's managing company, Haley Residential. The representative says they're currently held up by insurance, adding that they're waiting on the company to approve their claim before moving forward, and there's no timeline on when that will be. In the meantime, Stanley says he's anxious for the winter months and hopes apartment managers can offer some relief.
I'm not trying to cause problems for the apartment or anything, but the simple fact of the matter is nobody has windows, and we haven't been compensated in regards to hey, since your windows are out, maybe we can help you with the electric by maybe not charging so much or something like that.
Haley Residential says they're constantly following up to get this matter resolved quickly, asking residents for patience during this time.